Hey everybody, you're watching Cole the Cornstar, and welcome to Cornstar Farms. Today is a very important day because we are on our last cornfield. So here's our plan of attack for today. First off, there's going to be no construction. Roman has something that he has to do, so he will not be around to work on construction stuff. Now, on the farm side of things, Zach, Cooper, Ricardo, my dad, and I are all in our last cornfield. So we are on Melvin's farm today. There's approximately 135, 140 acres over here. If we have an absolutely super crazy, phenomenal, best day ever, we will be able to get done in the next 12 hours, but that is under 100% perfect conditions. I don't know if that is going to happen, but we are absolutely going to do our best. At the moment, Cooper is getting the field outlined and opened up so that way we can go back and forth on the nice long rows. And then behind Cooper and the big grain cart, we have Zach. And then behind Zach, coming down the little corridor that they've cut through, is Ricardo in the small grain cart. So the plan of attack on this field is we have a little bit of a surprise for Zach. We call this farm Melvin's, but Melvin to Zach is Grandpa. And Melvin passed away a couple years ago, so once we get this farm opened up, Cooper is going to teach Zach how to run the combine, and he is going to let Zach combine his grandpa's farm. First load already, coming in hot. Well, it's not actually hot, it's kind of cold. We got frosty last night, so down to 25 degrees, so it's like 40 degrees right. Coming in 40 degrees. This is the first time we have ever had trailers with airbag suspension on them, so it's really weird seeing them go over bumps and not hearing them go. Now, I don't know if it's just a me thing or a we thing around here, but getting to harvest the farm or be on the farm that was a member of your families for an extended period of time is a really big deal to us. It's kind of like somebody wearing their great-great-grandmother's wedding dress, or the wedding ring that gets passed on from generation to generation, or the family farmstead, in a vehicle that Grandpa had, or an item that your dad had. It's kind of the exact same thing. It has more sentimental value than anything, and I feel like that's the equivalent for Zach getting to combine his grandpa's farm today. I honestly don't know how he feels about it, but I'm kind of excited for him. I'm now gonna jump in the semis here. They got an area cut out for us in the field where we can actually get in there and turn around, so that way they have a spot that they can dump on us. As I'm sitting here waiting for the semi to build up air, we have came to the realization that our semis are starting to get tired after this very quick season of harvest. Seems like they all have developed massive air leaks, and one has an oil leak. So once we get done with harvest, we're gonna have to do some servicing on the semis. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing with the red Freightliner. Oh, looks like we got a leak on this seat. We're slammed down to the ground. We're like what are those Peterbilt drivers? Where you see them driving and their eyes are like this high above the edge of the window frame. Yep, this one's got an air leak too. Filling the back bend. This first bend is about a foot from the top, so it's just about full, and then the back one is at the top wind ring. The corn that we're harvesting today is a Champion 115 day. I believe this is hybrid number 65A23. This was actually our last planted cornfield, and we were considering replanting this at the beginning of the year because our stand was looking pretty rough. But honestly, looking at it now, I'm pretty glad that we did not. These are extremely consistent ears, minus this guy right here, but just really nice all the way to the tip. Nice, big, long, girthy ears. There is not a lot of dent on these things whatsoever, which means a heavy kernel. Like, look at that. There's hardly any dent whatsoever. We did not have much disease set into this plant. Now, we did have a little bit of tar spot. That's those black spots that we're seeing on the leaves. But looking at some of these upper leaves, we actually still have some green. This is pretty much the only field that we've been in this year that is full of green. So That is what we like to see. It means we had a nice healthy plant all the way through the entire growing season. Today's gonna be a day when we get back with the semi. There's going to be a full one sitting there. We will get out into that semi, bring it back to the farm, dump it, then come back to the field. There will be another full semi sitting there, and that cycle is going to repeat all day. It's going to be very busy. Take a look at the next semi, see how we're making out here. Oh yeah, she full. This is load number 14 for the day. My boots are too heavy. Now, Zach, I'm not the most efficient combine operator, but this does not scream efficiency to me.
Well, this is the 2 rows I got off when I come over the hill down the center of that waterway, and I thought, I'm gonna mess this up. It's about 60 yards of nothing and then trying to stay on the same row when I got to it. Well, I was too off.
And just like that, in typical harvest fashion, things completely changed into unforeseen circumstances. So it is now 48 hours later. Long story short, I've been working on putting some business stuff together for the last several months, and yesterday I had a deadline. So I had a lot of office stuff that I needed to get taken care of. So yesterday I was planted right here in this exact spot in my farm office, getting all that taken care of. The good news is I was able to get it done, and the other good news is we also got done with harvest. So for just a little recap of what all happened yesterday, Dad, Cooper, and Zach finished up on Melvin's, and then basically as soon as they were pulling out of the field, then a neighbor a mile down the road called and said that the engine blew up in his combine. And then so basically as Dad, Cooper, and Zach were leaving Melvin's, then they just drove right down to the neighbor's and they helped him finish his last 45 acres. So they got done around 8:30 p.m. last night. So everybody went to bed, and then we got up this morning. Cooper and Zach got everything all unhooked on the Challenger, so the Brent V1300 is unhooked, and they unhooked the little grain cart and hooked up to Cooper's baler because he has some corn stalk bales that he was going to be making for a neighbor. And then we found out some bad news. In the summer of 2018, my grandpa Ray, who was my dad's dad, he passed away. He had stage 4 brain cancer. And so that fall, we had a neighbor come out and literally just drop off their combine. And they let us use their combine so we could run 2 combines for free. And we tried offering something in return. They did not want it. They just wanted to help. And so we just got some bad news this morning that they have some health issues in their family. And so we are going to get all of our equipment hooked back up, and we are going to go head over to one of their fields and we are going to go pick it for them. You gonna be driving the combine today, Ellie? Is that what you're gonna be doing? Or are you gonna be driving the semi? All right, we'll let you pick. To be completely honest, I really don't care about our stuff right now, so I'll talk about how our harvest stuff did later, but Dad is going to be coming to pick me up here in just a minute. We're gonna get all the equipment serviced and ready, get fuel and everything, check everything over, make sure it's all good to go. Cooper is off baling cornstalk bales right now with Zach. They just have a few to do, so once they get that done, they're gonna bring that down here. Then they're gonna hook the John Deere back up to the little grain cart. The Challenger's in the shed right now. Dad and I don't know how to drive that, so we have to wait for Zach and Cooper to get here to be able to get that hooked up, but we can get the combine ready, we can get the 3 semis ready, and then we can probably start getting things positioned out in the field. Red Volvo needs a little fuel, Silver Freightliner needs a fuel. These 2 trailers should be 100% ready to rock and roll. And then we don't know if we're going to need the 3rd semi or not. We're gonna get Elmer ready just in case. This, I think, needs a little fuel as well. We're gonna just try to run these 2 semis. We're gonna be pretty close to the co-op, so we should be able to keep up with the 2, but I guess if we get bottlenecked, we're gonna have the 3rd one out there just as an overflow, and then if we get back and have to hop semis just to keep things moving, that's what we'll do. So Dad's gonna work on getting these semis filled up with fuel. We have the Thunder Creek fuel trailer right here. I'm gonna bring this down to the combine. We're gonna get that topped off. We're gonna get the Challenger topped off, and then when the John Deere gets there, we'll probably top that off too. Combine's full of diesel, combine is full of DEF. We checked the engine oil. This should be ready to go. Now we're gonna try to get the Challenger out Now, I've driven the Challenger one time before a year ago, but I don't remember how to drive it, so hopefully we can get this thing pulled outside. Hello, Challenger, my old friend. I've come to try to drive you again. Ellie, you coming up? You driving the Challenger? All right, come here. Come on. Come on. You've climbed a ladder before, you can do it. You can do it. All right, we're just pulling it outside, and I'll be right down with you. If we can figure that out. I think the key goes in here. Whoa, that's a way over there key position. I should probably push in the clutch, I take it. That fired right up. All right, we got stuff blinking at me. Ooh, we got stuff beeping at me. Hold on, Ellie, I'm trying to think. Foot off the clutch. Okay, that didn't do anything. This is turn signals. Yes. What's this thing do? I feel like that'd be the shifter. Maybe, do we do something like that? Maybe it's something with this thing. Looks like we got a little tractor with an arrow going forward. Maybe that. Still got a parking brake on is the thing, and I'm not seeing a parking brake release button. Do I hit go? Hey, how do you get this tractor out of park?
The joystick, there's a little button on the right side of it. Squeeze that in with your index finger.
On the back side?
I think it's on the right, like the right side of it, I think. Just like squeeze the joystick and you'll feel that button. Or no, it's on the front. Squeeze that trigger on the front of that joystick and then just bump it forward.
Oh! Okay. Look how big this tractor is. This thing is gargantuan. Wow. Okay, I think this works the same as a normal tractor with the clutch and then brake. Yeah, this is air brakes in it too. Listen, it's like a semi. Okay, Zach said you gotta pull this back till both of those come on, then now we should be in neutral. Then how do we put it back in park? Do we pull that button back here again? I don't like this. How do you put it in park? I feel like once you know how to drive this tractor, it'd be pretty simple, but right now there's just no instruction on anything in here. So like to put it into reverse, for example, there's a little trigger button back here, and then you pull this back, and then now we're in neutral, and then you pull it again, and then now we're in reverse. It's weird. There's no instruction on that. Well, I guess there's this little thing here, but it doesn't tell you to hold that button and do it at the same time. After a lot of head scratching, Dad and I were able to get the PTO shaft on this end, and then we were able to get it put on that end, and this thing is like 70 pounds. That baby's heavy. But we got it on. We did not get the hydraulic hoses hooked up because Zach had a very specific combination, how he had them up there, so we're gonna let him set it up how he liked it. He took it off, he knows how it sets up, but everything else on this is ready to go. Okay, we now have all the semis filled up. It looks like Dad did not spill too much diesel while filling up Elmer, so we have all the semis ready, grain cart's hooked up, combine's all ready to rock and roll. I honestly don't really know where the field is. I have an idea, but I don't know the exact field, so we need to wait for Cooper to be able to get there, so that way he can show us the exact spot, then we're not accidentally pulling into the neighbors and, hey, we're parking in your field, combine in it. No, that's the neighbors down the road. Oh, sorry. Got our first load coming in. Cooper's already making an outline around the field, so he's got it opened up. It must go pretty far around, because it took the tack a little while to snake back here. I got out of the cab and it smelled like something kind of hot, so we're doing some investigating, and while doing investigating, looking at that fan belt, looks like one of the pulleys is maybe a little loosey-goosey, wobbly. Oh, we are inspecting. We're not really sure what's going on with the combine. It just has this hot smell to it. Really hard to distinguish if it's exhaust, and it's just coming in at the right angle with the wind, or if we actually have something that's warm on the machine. We got out, Cooper, Zach, and I all felt around, we inspected, didn't feel any hot bearings, didn't see anything out of place. I started the machine, they were back there looking at everything. We even started the unloading auger. We don't see any problems, so we're just gonna keep running it, keep a close eye on it. If it gets worse, we'll have to stop and keep investigating. We really just don't know. That wasn't that bad. We survived. Well, we haven't dumped yet, but we survived the check-in process. Fun fact, the ground that this co-op is sitting on right now, we used to farm it for almost 30 years. And so this was the very first field that we got about 200 bushels per acre on, was the 40 acres that this co-op is sitting on. So kind of interesting. They ran around in this area as a little kid in a tractor. 1,777 bushels, 13% moisture, 59-pound test weight. Just met Dad on the road halfway here, and so he's on the way to the co-op, and we just pulled in, and Zach has full grain cart, so we are going to be full in about 2 minutes. There goes my dad. He just dumped, so he is now getting ready to pull onto the empty scale, so that way they can see how heavy his truck is when he's empty. Then they know exactly how many bushels that he dumped, and then he's going to be hopping on the highway and going back over to the field. So the field we're in is actually pretty much just on the other side of that leg right there. Welcome to load number 3. Oh, we get the express lane this time. Look at this. Wow.
All right, we are over here helping the neighbors. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Kind of nice to see all the farmers out. It was just over at the co-op. Dropped off a load of corn for the neighbors, and it's just nice to see a lot of people that haven't seen for a while in our semis. I didn't really get out and talk to anybody. Got to keep the line moving, but it was still nice waving and just seeing people I haven't seen for a while. And I think I'm in my high gear now. Trying to figure out my gear shift on this truck. I'm in the old Elmer Freightliner, kind of jumping in and out of different trucks. I gotta think a little bit sometimes on shifting. Oh yeah, I remember how to do this now. Alright, let's shift her in. There we go. We are off to the races.
Look at this. This is pretty cool. They got done at the field that they were in, so now we got a whole fleet of pickups out here. So this is everybody who's out here. We have our 3 semis. They have 3 semis. They have a 12-row combine. We have a 12-row combine. They have their 1,000 bushel grain cart, and we have our 1,300 bushel grain cart. So we're gonna get the rest of this farm knocked off in absolutely no time, probably like 3 hours we'll be done. And then they have 200 acres left a few miles away, so then we'll bring everything over there, and like we should be able to do that farm in 10 hours with the 2 combines. Back for another load. Just waiting for a green light and we can go. Probing us right now. Oh man, we're in line number 1. We got the line. There's nobody in line number 2. Come on, give me the express lane. And I wonder how many bushels that they can fit in that semi. Not too bad of a wait, about 10 minutes. It looks like we got Antonio again. Oh, we might have a collision. But wait, I turned out of the way. Haha, we avoided it. We are now empty. We're gonna get our load out, wait, and then head back to the field. I have learned, you just open the door, you step right here, and you gotta be careful not to fall, but then you can grab your scale ticket. Oh, and just like that, we're back again. We actually are pulling up Dad on the right side. He's now empty, so he's going to way going outbound. Well, that's kind of cool to see. Whoa. Oh, hey, we got Jose. Look how remarkable this is. We got 4 semis sitting in the field waiting to be filled. I'm in the silver Freightliner now, and then there is 1 load already on its way to the co-op. So we're running 6 semis, 2 grain carts, 2 combines. Another load. Oh, it looks like the line's short this time. Sweet. How were my brakes on? That is not good. That is brake smoke. Uh-oh. Well, that was potentially an expensive mistake. These literally never popped out on me. I never heard anything. I was driving fine down the road, so that's weird. Oh yeah, she hot. I feel kind of bad because with my brakes smoking like they are, they're just excreting this horrible smell. And it's just filling this entire area. So every semi that pulls in when they stop, they're all getting out and checking all their wheels to make sure that it's not them. I feel bad that they are not the problem. The problem is me. Just to set the record straight, that was not me. Back again. Oh, an even shorter line this time. Sweet. kind of cool. The fuel truck is here. They're going to deliver fuel to everybody. So we came with everything full. So we're just going to top this back off. We're going to top the combine off. I believe they have 12 rows left in the middle of the field. They're going to be done here in about 3 minutes. We're getting everything fueled up. And then we're going to be jumping on the horizon on the other side of those wind turbines. We probably got a 6 or 7 mile drive that way to the last field. Okay, it looks like we are completely done over here now. So they're getting all the corn heads unhooked and on the trailers. Grain carts are all folded down, combines are folded down. That white semi still has a load in it, but these two are empty. There are 2 at the co-op right now. And then I have like 3/4 of a semi right here. So we're not gonna be getting any more off this field. So I'm gonna bring this one to the co-op, and then I think they're just gonna get everything moved to the next farm and then call it an afternoon. It is now 48 hours later. I had a little series of events come up, and then we ended up taking Sunday off. So it is now a beautiful, bright and early Monday morning. They got everything all opened up on this next field, and it looks like they actually got a little bit knocked out here in the middle. So by the sounds of it, we should be able to get done with this field in the next 5 hours if everything goes perfect, and then the neighbors will be completely done. What do you think of this, running 2 12-row machines, all these semis and grain carts?
It's kind of neat, you know, when you're helping the neighbors, and just we all get to have fun out here and just watch this stuff.
And you get a lot done really quick.
A lot done. So it's just, you think you can get a lot done with one machine, and you put 2, and then you see some of these guys with 3, 4, 5 machines run. Wow, that takes a lot of manpower.
Oh, hey, by the way, you missed a little bit of hair on your neck.
That's in case it gets cold, I can turn my head towards the cold and it keeps me warm.
Oh, holy cow, this truck's full too. Everything was full here. Dad and I have been standing around waiting for loads to come in. Our trucks were full, and so was the grain cart that was sitting here. Okay, I guess we're gonna get to it. This is purely remarkable how fast we're taking loads out of here. And look at this, we got double trouble going on right now. 2 semis at the exact same time. And then we have 2 at the co-op right now, so we're moving. Loading right there, we're loading over here. Got a full semi on back, and then check this out. John Deere combine is full. And Cooper right behind him, he's gonna be full in about 30 seconds. Going for another dump at the co-op. Someone please riddle me why they still have corners with no stop signs. Look at this FedEx truck, just comes burning right through. He doesn't have a stop sign. I don't have a stop sign. That makes no sense. Tenemos un problema. We have a problem. Our combine has a clean grain elevator chain on it. Well, every combine has it. It's what the grain comes into the combine to get separated out behind that white thing, and then the separated grain falls down into this conveyor. That's what brings it up into the grain tank. Well, it's not supposed to look like that. Ours is all bunched up in the bottom right now because one of the links in the chain right there, it broke, and so now we can get grain in there. It falls down in here, and then it can't take the elevator ride up into the grain tank. So there's 30 acres left here. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to use our combine to help finish the last bit. We'll still stay here with our semis and grain cart. But Cooper's gonna get the head unhooked here, get it tossed on the trailer, and then I guess we are done with this machine for the year. Did you put gas in it?
Huh?
Did you put gas in it?
Put gas in it.
Isn't that what's wrong with it?
I wish.
It is now the next day. Once our combine broke, then I actually ended up taking the corn head home, and I went to a doctor appointment with my wife while they ended up finishing up the last little bit of the field. I basically would have just been sitting there because they had plenty of help with the semis and grain carts. So the good news is they got everything 100% done on the neighbors. Our crop is now 100% done, and honestly, there is no bad news. So now, as for how our crop did, I guess we have some good news there too. When it comes to our soybean harvest, we filled this entire bin full of soybeans, and then we filled 3 grain bins of this size with soybeans. So this one has soybeans in it, and then we have 2 more over at another farm. And we actually ended up bringing 4 loads to the co-op and selling them there. So we had approximately 68,000 bushels of soybeans. And then when it comes to corn, that bin is completely full, like completely full. And then this bin is completely full, like completely full. The overhead bin is full, and then the hopper bottom bin, we filled it as full as we could, which is actually just below the peak of the dryer shack. We're worried about that bin falling over if we put too much in it, so we just put a little bit in the bottom. There is actually a half of a semi-load sitting in the bottom of the pit right now, and we brought 7 loads of corn to the co-op. So we have approximately 257,000 bushels of corn. If you were praying for our farm this year to be bountiful, I want to say thank you, because we somehow averaged 262 bushels per acre. I don't even believe that when I say that, and I question if those bins are as big as they say they are, because that does not make any sense to me, because the best corn yield we have ever had was a 215 bushel average across our entire farm, and this year we somehow did 262 bushels per acre over our entire farm, which is 47 bushels better than we've ever done. And that is almost 22% better production than the best that we've ever done, at least as far as I have records on, which when we started taking records, that was when we started pulling some of our best yields. So absolutely unbelievable. So what does this actually mean for dollars in the bank? Well, right now, I just got a text message yesterday. The corn price for October to the place where we can deliver is $3.82. So we're gonna take $3.82 times 257,000 bushels. That brings us to $981,740 of corn revenue. For easy math, we're just gonna call it $1 million. And then when we take a look at our soybean price, so maybe a little blurry right here, but it says $9.94. So $9.94 times 68,000 bushels of soybeans, we have $675,920 in soybean revenue. So we're just gonna call it $676,000. So when we take our $1 million of corn revenue and our $676,000 of soybean revenue and add those together, we had $1,676,000 of total crop revenue on Cornstar Farms. Now don't get me wrong, $1.7 million is a lot of money, but we also have a lot of expenses that are going to come out of that $1.7 million. Now when we started this crop year, before we planted anything in the ground, I predicted that we were going to have $2,052,000 in total expenses. So we still have a few months worth of expenses left on things such as borrowing money for interest and getting the grain actually hauled out of here, and all those things have expenses associated with them. So by the time we get everything all said and done, we won't know what our final expenses are going to be until we actually get to once our grain is 100% gone, and that will not be until probably April of 2025. So we still have a few months of holding on to it. But at this point, if we use the projections that I have, we are still predicting a $376,000 loss, even though we had the absolute most ridiculous record corn yield we have ever had. And our soybean yield was still, our 10-year average was 56 bushels per acre, and we averaged 68 bushels per acre. So even being that much higher, just we had such expensive input prices putting everything into the ground, and then the prices that were supporting those really high inputs has fallen out. And so that is what is putting us in this potential $376,000 loss pickle. Now please keep in mind the prices that I'm using for things were if we sold today. So the price is a little bit of a caveat to it because we have our own grain bins, and so we are storing everything here. So the stuff we brought to the co-op, we just sold right to them for the today price. But when it comes to the grain bins, we can hold on to our grain for several months. We could hold on to it for years if we wanted to, and then we can wait until the price gets better, or we can wait till the places that buy buy the grain, really need the grain, and then they bump up their price because they need it to, let's say, fulfill the rest of their order. If they need an extra 10 loads, they can put out a bid and say, hey, we're willing to pay an extra $200 per load if you can bring it in by next Monday. And so we try to jump on things like that. And so that is where the benefits of the grain bins really come into play. And then another thing to add that is going to help us, we do all of our grain marketing through a company called EverAg, and EverAg sets us up on the board of trade so that way we can buy options, and then they also help us purchase futures. So we actually made grain sales 6 months ago before we even planted the crop, and back then the price was a lot better. So we ended up selling 85,000 bushels of corn for $4.82 per bushel, and we ended up selling half of our soybean crop for $11.42 per bushel. So that $11.42 has now gone down to $9.94, and that $4.82 has now gone down to $3.82. So looking back at it now, if the prices continue, we should have sold everything for those prices, but how do you know? And a good example is, look, a year from now, should we be making all of our sales right now? Like, what's the price going to do a year from now? So you're always trying to figure it out, because price could go up a year from now, but the price could also go down. So that's the game we play. Which, to play the hypothetical, if we sold all of the corn that we have now and all of the soybeans that we have now for that $11.42 and $4.82, we would be looking at $2,015,000 worth of revenue, which is still less than the $2,050,000 worth of expenses that we are projected to have. However, this looks a whole lot better of a loss than $376,000. So with that being said, we are going to try to minimize our expenses absolutely as much as we possibly can to try to get them below that $2,050,000 as much as we can. And then we are going to utilize our grain bins to their full potential, and hopefully prices go up in the future, and then we'll be able to capitalize on some better prices, get more revenue, and then hopefully get the farm in the black. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to farming. But we're gonna remain optimistic. Things will all work out in the end. So now that we're all done with harvest, we're gonna be getting back to the house.